Some men think women move on easily, that once the relationship ends, or even if it never started, she forgets all about him and goes on like nothing ever happened. But the truth is, that's not how it works. There are certain things a man can do that leave a lasting impression, even years after he's out of her life. Not because he was rich, not because he looked like a model, but because of how he showed up. Welcome to the channel. Glad you're here. Around here, we keep things real, easy to follow, and worth your time. Whether you're dating, in a relationship, or just trying to understand women better, this one's going to be eye-opening. Now, this isn't about tricks or pickup lines. This is about presence. It's about behavior, character, and how a man carries himself. When a guy consistently shows up in a certain way, strong, grounded, clear, it's unforgettable. Not in a clingy or desperate way, in a way that makes her respect him, remember him, and often compare other men to him. And let's be honest, most guys are forgettable. They play games, they overpromise, they try to impress instead of being solid. But when a man does the opposite, when he locks into a few key behaviors, that's when everything changes. This video is going to break down 5 specific things that make a man stick in a woman's mind. And if you're doing these already, great. You'll start to see how powerful they are. If not, this is your chance to change the game completely. So whether you're single, dating, or even already with someone, knowing these 5 things can completely shift how women see you, respond to you, and remember you long after you're gone. Let's get into it. 1. He walks away like he means it. There's something unforgettable about a man who can walk away, calmly, clearly, and without turning it into a show. Most guys stick around too long. They hang on to something that's not working, hoping she'll change, waiting for her to see his value, or trying to fix things that clearly aren't fixable. That energy is heavy, and it pushes women away more than they realize. But when a man knows who he is, what he wants, and what he won't tolerate, walking away becomes a sign of strength, not weakness. It doesn't mean he stops caring. It means he respects himself enough not to settle. And that kind of move sticks with a woman. Picture this. She's been hot and cold. Some days she's all in, calling, texting, showing interest. Other days she pulls back, takes forever to respond, or seems emotionally unavailable. Most men would get anxious. They'd ask what's wrong, try harder to win her over, or make excuses for her behavior. But not this guy. He notices the shift, doesn't overreact, and doesn't chase. He gives it a bit of space. If nothing changes, he calmly lets her know he's not looking for confusion or games. And then, without begging, without drama, he leaves. He doesn't ghost. He's direct. And he's done. That kind of exit hits differently. Why? Because it's rare. He didn't lash out. He didn't make her the enemy. He simply showed that his time and energy are valuable. That's confidence most men don't have. And even if she doesn't show it right away, it leaves a mark. Maybe not in the moment, but later. When she meets other guys who tolerate mixed signals, who stick around too long, who can't walk unless they're pushed, she'll remember the one who didn't need to be convinced. Walking away isn't about power plays or manipulation. It's about knowing when enough is enough, and being willing to leave with your self-respect intact. That kind of man, she doesn't forget him. 2. He makes her feel safe without smothering her. Women don't forget how a man made them feel. And one of the most powerful feelings a woman remembers is emotional safety. It's not just about physical protection or being the tough guy. Emotional safety is quieter, but way more impactful. It's the kind of thing that makes her feel like she can breathe when she's around you. Like she doesn't have to filter herself, hide parts of who she is, or walk on eggshells. But here's where a lot of men miss the mark. They think making her feel safe means hovering, constantly checking in, trying to solve all her problems, wanting to be involved in every detail of her life. That's not safety. That's pressure. It's good intentions coming off as control. Real safety starts with how a man carries himself. When he's calm, emotionally steady, and not easily thrown off, she feels that. When he listens without jumping to conclusions, giving advice she didn't ask for, or reacting out of insecurity, it sends a clear message. I can handle this. I'm not here to fix you. I'm just here. And listening, really listening, is a huge part of that. Not the kind of listening where he's just waiting for his turn to talk, but where he's fully present. When she feels like she's actually being heard, not judged or analyzed, she starts to relax. And that's something most women rarely get. It's not common, which is why it sticks with her when she finds it. The other piece of this is space. A man who makes her feel safe doesn't cling. He doesn't need constant reassurance. He gives her room to think, breathe, and be herself. That doesn't mean he pulls away. It just means he's not crowding her emotionally. He's secure in himself, and that creates an environment where she can be secure too. And here's the part that really separates him. He doesn't try to keep the peace by avoiding hard conversations. He says what needs to be said, but in a calm, respectful way. He can sit in uncomfortable moments without blowing up, shutting down, or changing the subject. That kind of emotional control is what builds long-term trust. He's not perfect, he doesn't have to be, but he's consistent, and that consistency creates a solid foundation. No games, no drama, just a steady presence that gives her the space to be real. That kind of safety? She might not talk about it out loud, but she remembers it, because most guys either smother her or ignore her. But the man who gives her both presence and peace, he's hard to forget. 3. He says what most men won't. A man who speaks his mind, not to shock, not to argue, but to tell the truth, is rare. And when a woman meets someone like that, it stays with her. Not because he said something wild or aggressive, but because he said something real, something honest, something most men avoid. Let's be clear. This isn't about being harsh or brutally honest just for the sake of it. It's not about picking fights or constantly challenging her. It's about being willing to say what you actually think, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it might not go over smoothly. Because what sticks with people is the courage behind the words, not just the words themselves. Most guys avoid that kind of honesty. They smooth things over. They say what they think she wants to hear. They hold back their true opinions because they don't want to mess things up. But here's what really happens. The connection ends up feeling surface level. Nothing deep. Nothing memorable, just safe, boring, and forgettable. But the man who's willing to speak up, he's different. He'll say how he feels. He'll let her know when something doesn't sit right with him. He'll share his values, his boundaries, and even his doubts, not to create tension, but to create clarity. And that clarity earns respect. The real difference is that he's not trying to impress. He's not filtering everything he says to avoid conflict or keep things comfortable. He's rooted in who he is. And because of that, he can tell the truth without fear of being misunderstood or rejected. Even if the conversation is uncomfortable, she feels that it's coming from a solid place. There's also something attractive about a man who can be honest when it's vulnerable. Saying, "I don't know," or "that made me feel disrespected," or "this isn't working for me." That takes more strength than pretending to have it all figured out. And women don't forget a man who can be both confident and open. When you're that kind of honest, people trust you more. They might not always agree with you, but they know where you stand. That kind of clarity is rare and powerful. Most men play it safe and keep things shallow. But when a man is willing to go deeper, say what he means, and let the chips fall where they may, that leaves a mark. It might not always be smooth, but it's real. And real always gets remembered.